form. There are several ways you can go about doing that. From any of the G Suite apps that have the Google Waffle, you can click the 9-square grid and select Forms. Alternatively, you can type forms.google.com and be taken directly to the Google Forms website. You can also start a Google form from your drive by clicking the New button and then going to More and then going to Google Forms and selecting whether you would like a blank form or a template. Of course, if you start it at this location in the main interface of your drive, the form will just be created in your general drive and it will not be organized. If you have created folders and you have a folder that you know you want to save your form into, you can of course click into that folder and you can start the form from there. So now I'm in a folder that I've selected and I can go to New and I can go to More and I can go to Google Form and I'm going to choose that I want to start from a blank form, and it will then be saved in this folder and I will not have to worry about organizing at a later date. After you have created your form, the first thing you will probably want to do is to edit your form. In the upper left hand corner, notice that it says Untitled Form. If you left click there, you can type in the name of what you would like your form to be. And once you left click out of that area, you will notice a couple of things. First of all, that the name appears here in the working area for the form, and also the folder and the star appear so that you can organize and make your form easy to access if you want to do those things. Before you proceed beyond this point, I would recommend that you decide if your form is going to be a quiz or a survey. While you can go back and change a survey into a quiz, it becomes a little bit cumbersome to do so, and if you decide that before you go beyond this point, it makes life a lot easier. Once you have decided if you want your form to be a quiz or a survey, you can click the gear option, which will take you to the settings. Notice there are 3 tabs: General, Presentation, and Quizzes. If you want your form to be a quiz, select the Quizzes tab and then turn on the Make This a Quiz option. Once that is turned on, you will have more options that will be available to you. You will need to decide, when do you want to release grades to students? Immediately after they submit their assignment or their quiz, or later after manual review? Also, what do you want students to see? Do you want them to see missed questions, correct answers, or point values? Check or uncheck those as needed. If you just want yours to be a form, just a survey as opposed to a quiz, you can leave this option turned off and not even bother with the Quizzes tab. Whether you are doing a survey or a quiz, you will want to explore the General and the Presentation tabs. Under General, you have the ability to collect email addresses of respondents, and you also have the ability to send them receipts. You can also limit this so only Greencastle Community School users can take your survey or quiz, and you can also limit to only one response. You can allow respondents to edit after they submit and see a summary chart of text and responses. If you are doing a quiz, obviously this option would not be useful. Under the Presentation tab, you can choose if you want to show the progress bar. That comes in handy if you have multiple pages. You can also shuffle the question order if you are doing a quiz. Keep in mind that will also shuffle the name question if you are asking the students for their name, as opposed to just collecting their email address. You can also show a link to submit another response. That obviously doesn't work if you have the limit to one response option turned on under General. You can also edit the confirmation message so that it goes away from the generic "your message has been recorded" to something that you want to personalize by simply typing in that space there. And when you are done, you can click Save. Once you have saved those settings, you are ready to actually start building your created your form, named your form, and decide if it's going to be a quiz or a survey. You are ready to start creating the questions. You will notice the first question has been created for you. It's called Untitled Question. In order to change that, you would click where it says Untitled Question and you would type your actual question right there. Notice the drop down right here, and that allows you to choose from various question types, most of which are self-explanatory: short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, which allows multiple input, drop down, which is essentially the same as a multiple choice, except the answers drop down as opposed to having the radial buttons, a file upload, a linear scale, a multiple choice grid, a checkbox grid, or input the date and time. Most of those have some more explanation that goes along with them, and each question has individual characteristics that make it unique, and you can find those by clicking the 3 dots right here. Notice on multiple choice it shows me description. It also shows me the ability to go to a section based on answer, which we'll discuss later in the video, and shuffle the option order. Description is going to be present on every single question option, and if I click that, I can type instructions that are specific to that question. Notice that if I choose another option, short answer, and hit the 3 dots right here, I will only have the options of description and response validation. So in this case, if I wanted the answer to be between 3 and 10, I could input that as validation, and if someone entered an answer outside of that, it would reject the input they had given me. So the 3 dots are your key to understand the questions in greater detail. That's kind of beyond the scope of this video right now, but I would encourage you to explore each of those question types and design a form that is going to be useful for you. One other thing that I will add is that notice there is the ability to insert a picture as part of the question. So if I want to ask a question based on a picture, I can click that picture icon and then I can upload a picture from Google Drive or from my computer, or I can search the internet. And I can just enter a search term and then select the image that I want to input. If I have something selected such as a multiple choice question, I can also have a question, rather an image, appear as part of the question. So I could ask a question and then I could have a visual response. So that's a very quick overview of questions. You can see that I've created a sample question on my form. If I wanted to add more questions to this form, I could do so very easily by clicking the plus button and continuing to add questions. If I had a question that was very similar, for example, if it had the same answers, but I wanted to ask a different question, I could simply click the duplicate question right here. If I wanted to delete a question, I could also do that by clicking the trash can. If I wanted to make the question required so that someone could not submit the form without answering that question, I can toggle the required option on or off. Again, I would encourage you to explore the 3 dots for each of the types of questions that you choose. However, you may want to expand beyond just asking one question. You may want to have multiple sections to your form. So let's say that I want to add another section to my form. It looks like 2 bars stacked on top of each other. That is going to add a section. So now I have 2 sections and I can call this section whatever I want. So if I wanted to call this primary section and I want to redirect anyone who answers that they teach at Ridpath or Deer Meadow into the primary section, I can do that very easily by going back to this question, and I can choose the 3 buttons and I can go to section based on answer. And now I can have the respondents who answer Ridpath or Deer Meadow go to the primary section, and I can have everyone else submit the form so that those who answer one way are directed to one section and those who answer another way are directed to another section. By making this branching option available, Google Forms allows basically an unlimited number of combinations of how you can complete a form. Notice you can also have a selection of where you would like respondents to go after they finish that section. And by selecting an option there, that will make it the default for that particular section that is listed above. So after section 1, what will they do? By default, if you don't select anything, they're going to continue on into the next section. Forms is a very powerful application. So far, everything we've been doing has been under the questions tab right here. Once you have completed all of your questions and you're ready for someone to answer the questions you created and input information into your form, you're going to need to send your form, and you will do that by clicking the send button. This can be a little bit confusing for people who've used other G Suite applications, because in those applications you share if you want someone to view. In this case, we don't want to share because we want someone to see the questions only. We don't want them to have the ability to edit. If for some reason you wanted to give someone the ability to edit, you would need to add them as a collaborator. For example, if you had a co-teacher that you wanted to edit, or if you wanted someone else as part of a committee to edit, you would add them as a collaborator. Sending the form sends the form out to people so they can answer. Adding a collaborator is what we think of in the traditional Google sense of sharing. You have 3 ways you can send the form. You can send it by email. You can enter the respondent's email address here and then give a subject and choose whether you would like to include the form in the email. You can choose the link, and if it has a long URL, you can shorten the URL and you can copy and paste that and put it in places such as Canvas, or you could email that link, or you can put it on your website, whatever you feel is most appropriate. And you can also get the HTML code so that you can embed that again in a Canvas page or in your own website or wherever you would like. And once you have established how you would like to send the form, you are going to go ahead and send the form out to anyone you want to respond. And you will know what the form looks like by clicking the preview button right here. Notice that you will have the pencil option because you will have the ability to edit because you are the creator of the form. However, anyone who is answering will only have the ability to select these answers right here. And that's how you know what it will look like to people who you are sending the form to. Anytime that you are in preview mode, you can click the pencil to return to editing mode. And once individuals have started responding to your form, you will notice there's a number that appears to the right of responses. And you can left click on responses to access and see what responses have been generated to your form. The first thing you will want to check here is the accepting responses. If you want to toggle that on or off, it will turn off the ability to accept responses. So if you're done with your form, you can turn it off, or if you want to take a break, you can pause it and then turn it back on later. In the responses area, you can see a summary of all of the responses, or you can see the individual responses by clicking the individual tab and then scrolling to the left and right with these buttons, or up and down with these buttons. You also have the ability to download your responses into a spreadsheet. If you click the the blue, or actually rather the green and white tab right there, you can create a new spreadsheet or you can select an existing spreadsheet. This works really well if you have a form you're going to give over a period of time. For example, like first and second semester, you might want the same spreadsheet and not have to go back and forth. Obviously, putting this in a spreadsheet allows for a lot greater data analysis. We have the three dots right here, and we can click the three dots, and you can choose to get an email notification anytime you get a new response. You can select response destination, which is the same as the spreadsheet option we just looked at. You can download it into a CSV if you wanted to put it in Excel for some reason. You can also print all the responses, or you can delete all the responses. This button right here allows you to delete an individual response. Last but not least, a little tidbit that I forgot. If you click the palette up here, you can customize your theme. So you can change the color of your theme, and you can also change the background color, and you can change the font style as well. And you also have the ability to choose an image that goes across the header right here. Google has a number of options available to you. There are several hundred here, and you can click on a theme and you can choose one of those. You can also upload your own photo or choose from your own Google Photos albums. Once you have selected something, that will then appear as the background. And that is a way to enhance your form a little bit and maybe just have it match up with the topic that you're covering. And that is a very basic introduction to Google Forms. In this short amount of time, there's no way that I could cover all of the essential features of Google Forms. What I hope to do was give everyone a foundational knowledge where they could start experimenting and working on their own. And then as they have questions that develop, please feel free to contact me. So I hope everyone watching this video now feels a little more confident with Google Forms.